As I've mentioned in my 10 games in 1 review, the Sega Genesis received a selection of officially licensed cartridges that could only be played on the Atgames models. And I'm still never going to touch 12 Dino games in 1, so let's check this one out. 5 arcade games in 1. It's not what it sounds like. These are not arcade games. And I don't really have any preferences in a situation like this, so I'll just review them in order. Baseball 101 is a baseball game that doesn't know how to baseball. It's like Wii Sports Baseball, except even more simple. All you do is press the C button. Anytime you feel like it, it'll work either way. As far as I know, it's completely randomized whether you get a home run or not. But if you don't, you'll get a safe. Close enough. As expected, the music's really bad, but the graphics are surprisingly good for a Genesis game. There's also a training mode, which is basically the same thing, except now we can only get home runs. 3.5 out of 10, next game. Bowling Alley is a bowling game that doesn't know how to bowling. You can't strafe or curve your ball. All you have to do is make sure that your power meter is high and your control meter is also high. And since both meters start at the same place every time, just wait 0.6 seconds before you push C and you'll get a strike every time. The game also has a practice mode, which is just the same thing, except the bowling pins are placed in quirky places. I'm also pretty sure this mode doesn't end. There's also a 2-player versus mode, which would always end in a perfect tie if both of you knew the trick I mentioned earlier. 2.5 out of 10, next game. Casual Fishing is a fishing game that doesn't know how to fishing. The game gives you 4 minutes to catch some fish. When time runs out, it goes back to the title screen. And how you catch said fish is by moving your bait with the D-pad. Whether they fall for your bait is all decided with RNG. If they do, you have to jam the C button to pull them up. Or at least I assume that's what you're supposed to do. You can just hold down the button if you want. No matter how successful you are, it's still gonna end in 4 minutes, so there's really no point. However, screenshot-wise, I think this is the best looking game in the package. Despite scrolling in 4 frames per second. Yes, I counted. It's not that hard to count when the frame rate's that low. As I said, screenshot-wise. 2.5 out of 10, next game. Maze 2010 was also in the 10 games in 1 cartridge, so I already reviewed it. But in case you didn't see that video, I will re-review it with my new sexy voice. Maze 2010 is a game where you go through mazes in the futuristic year of 2010. But you have to collect the Chaos Emeralds on the way there. You get it, because it's shaped the same way as a non-fictional gem that just happened to be in another series. There's no hazards or any enemies to speak of. The only obstacle on your way is the timer, and it gives you a lot. The controls are kinda slow, but that really won't be a problem. There's really no major flaws with the game besides the fact that I'm not having fun, which is a pretty important aspect of a video game. 2.5 out of 10, next game. Snowboarding is a snowboarding game that doesn't know how to snowboarding. The game features 3 boring tracks with no opponents and no jumps. You can also choose from 3 different characters. They don't play any differently as far as I know, but come on, do you really think they did that? By the looks of it, you have to go through these flags, which I swear to God is impossible. Look at me line this one up. I'm in the perfect spot. Let's see what happens. What does it want me to do? It was at this point when I realized the timer was going up and not down, which means there's absolutely 0 obstacles along the way, including the flags. Why are they even here? The only thing they keep track of is your time, which doesn't even save! The other 2 tracks look and feel exactly the same. In fact, I would be 100% convinced they were the same if it wasn't for those mini-maps. And honestly, those mini-maps may be lying, you don't know. 2 out of 10.
Let me go back to my home. Without me, everything's all wrong. Eddie, let me go back to my home. Let me put things back where they belong. Eddie, let me go back to my home. Without me, everything's all wrong. Eddie, let me go back to my home.